was an intro. Anyway, good afternoon. All good from comScore. The last time I came here, I was talking about multi-platform digital measurement, and I was vaguely referring to the need for cross-media measurement without a particularly clear idea of how we were going to achieve that in Spain. And then in February, there was a strategic partnership announced between Kantar and comScore, and the result was the opening up of possibilities that we could only dream of a year ago. So I'm very thankful to AIMC to give us the opportunity to present for the first time in Spain what the plans are to bring the TV measurement and the digital measurement together, and the roadmap for rollout of products over the coming years. Fantastic. We have slides. So, and as you can see, yes, a year ago we wouldn't have had Kantar and comScore on the same logo. So what I'd like to discuss first is just laying out the challenge, and certainly some of the previous speakers in the last session mapped out the challenge and the framework, and I suppose I just want to put it in the terms we have so that you can understand the products that we're planning to bring out and how we evolve to that full approach. I will go light on the methodology and then try and walk through the products again around audience measurement and then campaign measurement. So let's start with the challenge. We all know that everyone wants everything, but TV measurement traditionally has focused on measuring linear TV and then that TV content as it has been delivered through catch-up, also to a TV set. In the industry, if you talk from a TV-centric point of view, cross-media is often about how do we go and capture the TV content that is being delivered through other digital devices. Whether it is within the broadcast window that the reporting currency is using, or if it is catch-up of stuff that's outside the broadcasting window. So in many markets, this is what is considered cross-media, and it is a vital and important thing for us to be able to report on the overlap between digital content and TV as relates to TV content. But we do know that the demands of agencies and advertisers are for a holistic picture. So the challenge then, even if we're just talking in video terms, how do we have a complete picture of all the available video inventory, not just limited to TV-related content, but also the YouTubes, the Netflix, the other forms of what we would probably call native digital content that can even be accessed on a TV, but may well be done through PCs, mobiles, and tablets. This does include, as I mentioned, Netflix, and it came up in the discussion on the last panel session. Yes, Netflix aren't a particularly helpful company in being ready to share their data. So the comScore approach is we have, since we are primarily a technology company that happen to do media research, we have lots of engineers, and engineers like to do things called hackathons. And that's basically you sort of give them time to go and do the things they enjoy doing and hope something useful comes out of it. The last one that we ran recently, 160 engineers split off into random teams to do as they wished, and one of them, a group of engineers, came up with a way to hack the Netflix reporting and link it back to classification. So that's kind of, you can do the top-down approach, or you just let the engineers go and see what problems they solve. They decided there were 40 problems they wanted to solve, and that was one of them. So this is then total video, and we need to look at how we bring that technology and deploy that into the panels. But the final piece is then really this total view. How do you understand digital and TV next to each other? Because on the right-hand side of the diagram here, this is what comScore's been doing as we roll out multi-platform digital measurement, you've got the overlap as TV content escapes from the set-top box, and you then have the overlap. How do we deliver this holistic picture? So when we talk about the products, you'll see them in the realms of extended TV and then moving across into total view so that we can provide that fuller picture. Now we have, and again last time I presented, we talked about some of the stuff that we were doing in the US, where we have now launched a syndicated commercial product with total view. And from a methodology point of view, as Linda was saying, the challenges of doing this through a single source technology and data sources is prohibitive. The US approach has been to take every possible data source we can, whether it is a TV panel, a disparate mobile, tablet, PC panels, masses of census data for both content and tags, return path data from currently 5 million households. We are in the process of acquiring Rentrack, which has access to 25 million households of return path data. We're also using the census profile data, and I'll talk a little bit more about that, of why that's important. And we're rolling out home routers on top of all the other metering we've done so that we can try and collect, as Laurent was talking about in France, collect all the behaviour in the household. And then, yes, there's the joy of how you put it together. So there's a lot of work that we have as a basis there. There's also existing cooperation between Kantar and comScore in the Netherlands, where Kantar's building and managing the mobile panels, and comScore's doing the tagging, and we're doing the linkage of that together within that focus of the TV extension. Which brings us to Spain, which has been identified as a priority market for us to really drive forward what we think is possible in doing cross-media measurement. So I'll be brief in 2 slides on the methodology. There are a number of work streams that need to be achieved to bring this together. We do need, while we have the TAM panel and the internet panels, we need a single source of data. So Kantar are deploying their virtual meter onto the TAM panels. Well, they already have done so for PC, but are rolling this out for mobile and tablet that allows observations of digital consumption of TV, linking across to the tags that are deployed so that we get that informed overlap. There's a lot of work to be done on aligning content taxonomies. There is a classification dictionary that we use for reporting in digital. There is the program-led classification that's required so you can get to program level from TV. We need to make sure that those align so that whether you want a TV-centric view of the world or a digital-centric view, you understand how you align those. There's also the challenge of incorporating YouTube. We have had a long-standing agreement with Google, who have been providing us with census-level data for YouTube for, I think it's been commercially available for a couple of years now, currently just for PC, and allowing media owners to give Google permission to specify independent or individual channels that we can then report out in our data. So they give us the census tonnage and then allow us to break out the streams. And the next stage is to extend this to mobile and tablet, which we're working through with them at the moment. There are some greater privacy challenges of how we link this back to the panel, given the more personal nature of mobile devices as opposed to PC. But the plan is that will roll out into the video metrics products in the coming months, which will then flow through into the cross-media data, as we explained. Tagging, the joy of tagging. It always comes down to needing to deploy this. There's no easy way around it. Everything needs to get tagged up. It needs the right labels, the taxonomies that align, whether for content or for ads, and we need that deployed through across all the broadcasters. Likewise on ad tagging, a lot of the stuff we're already doing with ad tagging, the integration into the ad server, we do see a very, while we need the tagging infrastructure for content and ads to come onto the same infrastructure that allows us to link it to the panels so that we don't have different sets of IDs, the technical demands of a content tag and an ad tag are really quite different. Yes, we need to know exposure and we need to know time, but there are many issues that go on in the digital world around viewability, needing to understand the content of a page for brand safety concerns and fraud concerns, that therefore the technology we use around ad tags, and not only the technology but the methods for implementing it, the integrations to the ad servers, so that we can address the needs of agencies for the operational side, is a different set of concerns that we see from the broadcasters who are managing the tagging of content. And I think traditionally in TV, content and ads have been controlled under the same hat. In digital, these worlds are normally very separate, and there are different operational infrastructures that we need to take into account. And then we need to agree on the metrics, what constitutes a GRP in both worlds, given how long an impression is there, average player streams and such like that we need to align. And then we get into the real fun and games of doing fusion and calibration. From the comScore side, for those of you who, actually I think the last time I was here, someone was explaining the comScore methodology, and the simultaneous translator did an amazing job in translating it, although at one point she did say something like, "Oh my God," when she saw the next slide. I'm not going to attempt to explain that, but just to say that in making that work, we end up with different panels, we have the census data, we need to respect the census methodology that's coming from the website, measuring it to the panels, which means we have variable weights, we have disparate panels. For this to work for the fusion, we have to go through a whole lot of work to present the data in a unified way that we can hand to Kantar, given them the overlap that they have, that they can start working on the fusion. And then all the data is coming through in the Kantar reporting tools. So the simultaneous translator, this is the only slide on methodology, and it's a very simple one. So there are the demographic hooks, which of course we can use, but what we're wanting to do is get those behavioural hooks. And we can use the overlap of the behavioural hooks of observing TV programs and use that to provide us a stronger form of fusion that we can then apply across to all the digital content that we're seeing. And it is important to remember here that we are on the online side, just as we are using census tags to get greater granularity of behaviour, because panels are limited in their observations of behaviour. When we move to campaign measurement, and actually even for video on mobile and tablet, panels are just not big enough to even give us demography, and therefore we have to work with third-party demographic providers, so people that have got registration data. So we do stuff with Yahoo and Yahoo Mail, with Spotify, and there are discussions going on with all the different data sources that the industry has to do targeting that drives programmatic. Those profiles need to then are of varying quality. They're not all great, but you can build, and what we have built is a platform where the panel is the source of truth. We combine it with the census data. We also bring in census profiles, and we have a way to score the quality of that and allow us to report at greater granularity and at greater frequency. Because when we start doing campaign measurement and mobile for small instances of programs, you need that level of granularity for reporting. So in terms of the timeline of where we are, the project started earlier this year. We will be rolling out just before Christmas, and what we call extended TV overview, which is taking with side-by-side data for the TV programs and the digital content, and likewise for campaigns on both sides. And then we will be moving into Q2 next year to actually provide the deduplication across the audiences, and then later the deduplication across the campaigns. We need to do the program fusion first to inform the campaign overlaps. And then 2017, be able to pull the whole thing together to give the total view. So in terms of looking at the products, the first view is this at a channel level, so we've produced this data at the moment, which is at the highest possible level, just putting the data side by side as a result of aligning the taxonomies. The next level is going down one stage to a program alignment on both sides. The richness of what we can report here is of course dependent on the level of tag coverage that we're getting, but we are taking the unified data of both parties, but again still running this side by side. And then it is the extended TV audience measurements, which we're aiming for Q2 next year, tag dependent, that allows us to do full overlap for reach and frequency between the two data sets. And if we look at on the campaign side, then we'll do the same approach of running campaigns side by side so you can understand how these campaigns line up. Now, and we can do that both for TV content, but also because of what we're doing through the VC validated campaign essentials today, we're measuring programs and digital display. And I want to show you a couple of examples of some campaigns. Now this one you can see is a reasonably large campaign, 1,400 GRP. The TV data looks pretty much as you'd expect in terms of GRP, got lots of reach, frequency of sort of 13, 14. The digital campaign doesn't look quite so healthy. And you can see there's something going on in the frequency there that maybe isn't quite right. This is a campaign that we are using gross impressions, so this is coming off the ad server. This campaign is not being used to optimize for viewability, and therefore we are going to see an overstatement in the reach of this campaign, and also what we're seeing here is some of the frequency capping not being properly handled. We don't think that it is appropriate for us to report digital campaign measurement based off gross ad server impressions. We think we have to enable like-for-like comparison between TV and digital. This is a different campaign running with validated impressions. Yes, the overall campaign size is smaller on both, but you see a more natural distribution of behaviour, and therefore we can say these GRPs are validated because we know there are concerns to do with viewability in digital. And then the next step is to then create the overlap reporting of campaigns, first for extended TV, and then secondly, flowing on from there to bring in all the other digital components of the campaign so that we can have a total view of campaigns. So that's the plan. We've made good progress on alignment. The tagging infrastructure is laid out for the broadcasters to tag. The panels, virtual meters are being developed. The methodology documents have all been written and structured, an agreement between the teams and the handoff of files. So we are feeling confident that we have made good progress. The next step that we'll move, or that we're actually doing in parallel, is to ensure that when we have this cross-media measurement, we can also look at the impact that this is having. So we are also working with Kantar World Panel on the comScore side, tagging up their consumer panels so that we can look at sales impact. We're working with Millward Brown likewise to align so we can do the brand impact. So that by the time all of this is coming together, we can then have that more holistic picture, not only of understanding from a planning point of view, but understanding the overlap impact when it comes to both brand, action, and sales lift. Thank you very much.